Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/slash Tales from Tech Support. In today's episode, I forgot the cardinal rule, or 4 minutes of Google could have saved me 4 hours of work. The phantom faulty heat sensor. Notebook worries. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. I forgot the cardinal rule, or 4 minutes of Google could have saved me 4 hours of work. I run my own infrastructure at home because it's a great way to keep my Unix skills current. I run old, badly architected spare parts infrastructure because that's been my professional paradigm for most of my career. To wit, here's no budget. Make a system work with spare parts that are 10 years out of date. At-home budget consists of what I can get away with buying that's under the never spend more than $100 without consulting your SO threshold. I have 2 servers, a Dell Latitude laptop circa 2013, and a Toshiba satellite laptop circa 2010. Hey, Linux doesn't care, but will not run on the Dell Inspiron laptop from 2007, that came with Windows Vista, and attempts to install CentOS 7 result in crashes. Both servers are running CentOS 7 that I religiously patch with a yum update because I've seen too many problems caused by an out-of-date OS. So the Toshiba acts as an NFS server and hosts Plex, and its aging 5400 RPM SATA drive serving as the boot disk has started throwing bad block errors. So far, nothing unrecoverable, but it's only a matter of time before my aging hardware betrays me. Browsing the Plex library incurs a noticeable lag as the spinning platter struggles to keep up with the load. I convince the wife that I need to make an upgrade purchase of an SSD. The upgrade plan is simple enough. Plug the SSD into a SATA to USB bridge and plug it into the server. Partition the drive and use CPIO to copy/boot from the old drive to the new one. Run grub to install the bootloader on the new drive. Turn the second partition into a PV, add it to the root volume group, and use pmov to migrate the data live. Shut the server down, swap the drive out, and boot it back up. Easy peasy. I've actually done similar things with AIX servers, and it's a piece of cake. Everything goes fine until I invoke the pmov command. I'm doing this part from an SSH session because I don't feel like standing in front of the rack where the server sits. My session just kind of goes dead. And I get that sinking feeling. I check the server's console by flipping open the lid. Kernel. Panic. It must a transient failure, right? I reboot, and the server crashes on startup. Kernel panic. I boot from the new drive. Same result. It must be the bridge, right? I remove the old drive from the server, plug it into the bridge, and hook it up to the Dell. I can see the drive. The system isn't happy about the missing PV. I take the SSD, plug it into an enclosure that previously housed a different SSD, and plug it into the Dell. I can see the drive right up until the kernel panics and crashes the Dell. The sinking feeling intensifies. I manage to forcibly remove the SSD PV and effectively abort the pmov. Verify I/O to the new drive works OK with DD. Add the PV back into the VG. Try to pmov again and Sanuva B*TCH. It's another kernel panic. I'm about 3 hours into what should have been a 15-minute process, followed by an overnight data copy process that would have run just fine in the background. I struggle to cancel out the pmov, but now I can't because the Dell's LVM knows about both PVs and refuses to let me remove the new drive. LVM is not happy with my attempts, and I've got a sinking feeling that I've managed to corrupt the VGDA, as display is giving some weird results. If LVM sees both PVs, it tries to resume the pmov, and bang! Kernel panic. So I do the sensible thing and try to determine if anyone has run into this problem before, and if so, how did they fix it? A quick Google of the following terms from the kernel panic error message: mirror_merge dm_merge_vec linear_merge_bio_add_page. Known LVM issue kernel panic Red Hat Linux Enterprise 7.9 All Red Hat Linux Enterprise 7.9 RHEL 7.9, images which running a kernel version greater than 3.10.0-1160.10.1.L7 are affected by a kernel panic during execution of a PLUF command. Hey! That's the kernel version I'm running. In fact, I had updated to that version about a week prior. I plugged the drives back into the Toshiba and boot from a previous kernel version. After about an hour I managed to undo the way I've managed to mangle the LVM, and get it to see both PVs without marking both of them missing. Old drive said that the new drive was missing and vice versa. Once this is fixed, the system automatically resumes the PMOV. The data migration takes all night, but runs smoothly. I remove the old drive from the VG and shut down. I then use this opportunity to correct some file system issues. Like the time I forgot to mount the file system I was spooling my backup to, and wound up increasing /TMP to like 20 gigabytes before I discovered that the backup process was writing into the root file system. Shrink that back down to a respectable 2 gigabytes. Or the fact that Plex writes into /var, and it should really have its own file system. A quick drive swap and I boot from the SSD. Except I can't. /boot can't be found. Because I created a new /boot file system and used CPIO to copy the contents of the old /boot into it, and forgot that Red Hat likes to mount /boot by UUID. That problem only took my 30 minutes to figure out. The system is now up and performs much better with an SSD. The phantom faulty heat sensor. The AIM-9L Sidewinder is a heat-seeking missile that uses an argon inert gas canister to cool the onboard computer while it's playing tag. A couple fun facts: the canisters are replaced as the pilots train, getting a target lock on their counterparts, and use up the gas. The canisters are installed hand-tight and will self-tighten in flight. To address this, there is a special tool for this one job. However, this tool is often not used, and a screwdriver and some torque will loosen it if you twist on the steel cable attached to the canister. And lastly, the sergeant in charge of those canisters will complain to your supervisor or higher that the cables keep coming back chewed up and need replacing because people are not using the tool. One day the pilot gets a warning light. Missile overheating. When he lands, the missile is removed. The argon canister looks good, it's full. A functional check is performed on the missile rail and aircraft. It all looks good. They swap out the canister and the aircraft is ready to go. The next time it flies, it happens again. The missile is removed and replaced, the missile rail is taken off, replaced, and inspected. The new rail and aircraft are system checked. The argon canister is inspected. No fault is found anywhere. Must be a ghost in the machine. The next time the plane flies, no problems. Good. But it happens again. Same plane, new missile, new rail launcher, different canister. So they start suspecting the fault might be in the aircraft wiring itself. Or they did, until the warning popped up in a completely different aircraft, with all different equipment. And again, it wasn't every flight. They would get a warning light, run their checks, find nothing, and the next time, it would work without incident. This mystery fail is plaguing our shop for weeks. Significant man-hours have been dedicated to finding the cause. Our most experienced crew are beating their heads against the wall trying to make sense of it all. And then one guy happens to mention that he has been installing the argon canisters and then backing it off 1/2 to 3/4 of a turn before closing the panel because they self-tighten and are hard to remove after flight. You don't think that has something to do with it, do you? I wish I could have been in the room for that bombshell. The confusion, frustration, and rage must have been palpable. Looking back after the fact, with all the answers in place, the reason seems obvious. The person doing the maintenance is the variable that most easily travels from plane to plane. But our diagnostic team did not have the imagination to fathom that someone would just stop doing the job the right way, the way they were trained, the way it has done it for years. I don't know if he got any official demerits against him for not following technical data. I imagine so, but I do know he could not sit for a week, and was measurably lighter after that eschewing he received. In any job, not just the military, if you have an idea, or if you think there is a better way of doing things, let someone know. At any point in your career, there is someone who knows more and has done it longer. Get their feedback. Notebook worries. A little bit of backstory. MARCS, your friendly sysadmin, was contacted in about August of 2020 by HR that a new person will onboard in 10 days in a remote location. They informed me that he was joining the company from another company in the group. When I said I don't have any hardware on site, as everybody needed notebooks for their pandemic-related working from home activities, they replied that he still has his old notebook and is able to work. My mistake, I did assume his old work notebook, and did not wonder if $old company would not want it back. So I ordered a new notebook for him right away, but that needed 4 weeks for delivery, and then the whole installation/branding shebang. The notebook was postponed for another week, and also sysadmin was busy putting out fires in our production environment. 4 weeks into user's occupation in the company, I got a call from manager asking why the person they hired is waiting 4 weeks for his notebook. I told them about the lead time and that the notebook, which was delivered in the meantime, was ready for installation, and that I was under the impression that he was able to work with his old notebook. Another week of firefighting goes on, and the installation task, which is mostly automated but needs a few touches here and there, was not high on my priorities. After all, he was able to work. So I got a call from manager, who got promoted to angry manager, asking me why user has to work with OWA on his personal notebook, and where ##. Explicit, his notebook was stuck. I explained myself as I was under the impression that he would be able to work on the notebook from last company and promised them to finalize right away, which I did. The next day took the notebook to the post office and sent it to the hands of user in remote location. After that I did not hear about the topic for 2 weeks. Everybody seemed to be happy. Then one day user calls me and says he cannot log into the notebook, it would not accept his password. I found out that he is working from home and changed his password while the notebook was in transport. So I told him to log in with his old password until he is at remote location or any other location of the company. Which worked. But of course, Outlook being Outlook, it popped up credential request on every start, and user was slightly annoyed. He vented his feelings on the phone. Twice. I told him that this would go on until he managed to get to a site of the company so the notebook is able to talk to the domain. When he finally did, a few more venting phone calls to manager and sysadmin happened in between. We again had radio silence for another 3 weeks, maybe. That's when his notebook started throwing blue screens, which would result from a damaged RAM module, as we later found. So I told him those can happen, but if it gets annoying, he can send in the notebook, and I can swap the SSD from his notebook into a spare one, which I had also ordered with his notebook. So we did that, and again, radio silence. Everybody happy. Until today. I received a phone call, but I was already talking on the other line, and it went to voicemail. Listening in on the recording, user told me that the replacement notebook I sent, that he never used, what was he using, was not working since it would not accept his password, and if I remembered the Windows password I used for installation. I feel like I am stuck in a loop here.